Everyone, Assalamu alaikum. This is Adeel Hashmi, and a very warm welcome to all of you. This is another important episode in the series that we started back in 2018, I think, which was called Leaders at Lums. And in the last few years, we've had the good fortune of speaking to some inspiring business leaders. We heard their stories, we heard their struggles, their successes, and their failures. And today we have the honor to welcome yet another inspiring and successful business leader. She is the CEO and founder of 786 Investments Ltd, one of Pakistan's pioneer asset management companies. She also currently sits on several boards, including PSO, the Pakistan State Oil, where she chairs the Audit, HR, and IT Innovation Committees, and Dawood Family Takaful Limited. The keyword here is Dawood. And previously, she served on the boards of LESCO and Mutual Funds Association of Pakistan. In terms of education, she holds a doctorate in judicial science from Harvard Law School, where she specialized in sharia law and finance, as well as mergers and acquisitions. And we'll talk more about that as well. She speaks globally at numerous international conferences. She's also a well-known philanthropic. She does philanthropic work, especially for women and children. And I want to talk about that in detail with her today. We have with us Ms. Tara Uzra Dawood. Ms. Dawood, Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for taking our time and for joining us at Leaders at Lums.
Assalamu alaikum, Adeel, and everyone watching from Lums and around the world.
Ms. Dawood, let me be the first one to admit my own ignorance. What is an asset management company? How does it work? And how is your company, 786 Investments Limited, different and better, if I may say so?
So an asset management company is about pooling resources, and also you pool people's money into a mutual fund, and therefore you get better rates and better opportunities for that money's investment. And of course, 786 Investments Limited is a Sharia compliant asset management company and investment advisory firm, which specializes in managing funds in a halal munafa way.
So when you say you pool in the money, so we get better returns, I get scared as an investor, someone who doesn't know. I get scared. Tomorrow morning, my money will get wiped out and the company will say, well, too bad. How do we safeguard against that? And is Pakistan a safer country, or is the US or European markets safer countries for this?
So first of all, there's more than one type of fund. So a fund that is a pure equity fund will carry with it more risk than a fund that's an income fund. So for example, an equity fund will invest in the stock market. An income fund will invest in government securities and so forth, in banks and so forth. So it's much safer than a fund that is subject to the market. Although with good fund managers, that risk is definitely hedged. At the same time, what's important to note is it's not the question of Pakistan or global, one being safer than the other. In fact, our stock market is a fabulous one, the PSX. It's a fact that Sharia is actually safer than conventional because it's less leveraged. Your money has no usury or riba. It's always asset backed, and asset backed is very important because that involves it not being as leveraged as conventional investment schemes.
Tell us more about now Faisal Bank in particular. I'm sure there are other banks as well who are turning towards Islamic banking entirely, and there are other banks who are doing that. And the reason they tell us, commoners, is that it's safer, it's in the interest of the consumer. Now, and you've also mentioned that. Now, tell us more about what is Sharia law and how does it work with finance?
So Sharia law is, of course, much more than finance. It has to do with laws of life as well. But in terms of Sharia finance, which I think is relevant to this discussion, there are three factors. One is riba-free, which is no usury or interest. Two is sin-free, so no tobacco, casinos, or other sin investments, as well as the third is asset-backed. So if anyone had ever seen the movie Wall Street, where money was transferred back and forth, but there was no asset backing it. Once everything has an asset behind that, it is obviously much safer. So that's the heart of Sharia finance. Into Sharia law is much bigger field.
Okay, so it seems like it safeguards the interest of the end consumer, and that is the idea. That's the idea. Now, sorry, go ahead. You were saying something?
No, I was just thinking to myself that when an entity is converting to Sharia, obviously they may talk about how it's less leverage and hence safer. It's also more desired by those who want to do things in a particularly religious way. But our country here in Pakistan has a larger market that desires Sharia. So there's a huge base of potential clients there as well, which could be a factor that any company might convert.
Now, I want to talk about your surname in a bit, but first, a little bit more about you worked in the US, you worked in Canada, you worked in Europe, big markets, regulated markets, huge numbers. Why move back to Pakistan? What brought you back? Educated abroad, worked abroad, all over. What was it about a third world country that brought you back? And then you started not just business, but also philanthropy. What was that pull?
Well, to me, it's a beautiful opportunity to give back to your own nation and to be able to contribute. My father's always told me since I was a little girl that there's very few people blessed to be job creators. And so that's something I've very much taken to heart. And the fact that to build businesses, to give jobs, feed families, give them health care, give them opportunities is something that's a privilege. And I feel very blessed to have been able to have an option to choose where I live and what I do.
You use the word privilege. I'm going to use it in another context. So you were born in privilege. Is it hard to carry, a big brand name, a big legacy on your shoulders, where people expect you to do big things? Is it hard? Or what are the pros and cons of carrying a legacy on your shoulders, like the Dawood name?
Well, I think that anyone who has been born with the ability to have the clothes to wear and food to eat and opportunities, and particularly something close to my heart, which is education, to be able to afford that education and to be able to take advantage of the opportunities of life that way, it is a privilege. So that's a beautiful blessing. And I think everyone would agree with that. And similarly, legacy, well, that's just another blessing. And all you can do is see how you can contribute. Because to those that have been given, much is expected. And in the Quran, as you may be familiar, it's written that those with wealth are the ones that will be tested the most.
Mm-hmm. So you take it as a test. And is that the reason why?
No, I think it is a blessing, please. Please let me clarify that. Everyone is tested.
Sure. So is that why with your for-profit work, you started your non-profit initiatives? And we'll talk about that. Let's start with the Ladies Fund. Tell us a bit about Ladies Fund. What is that initiative? What does that do? And why just ladies?
So Ladies Fund stands for Women of Economic Voice and Economic Power. The idea is recognizing women's contribution to the economy of Pakistan, as well as to give women access to money and the opportunities that brings. So it's all in the sphere of those elements. And it began as a CSR project. Our fund was number one, our company growing so well that we wanted to give back. And so we started the first ever awards for women in Pakistan's history. Of course, there are the annual awards given by the president that are, of course, not about gender. Ours was fully about gender, and it was the first one of its kind. And it began focusing on entrepreneurs, and now it gives in every field. And now we've trained 12,000 women entrepreneurs over now 12 years. And we have also now are nominating women for loans through the state bank's SME loan scheme and the Prime Minister's Youth Scheme, YES, and the Barack Center for training grounds for women entrepreneurs. Every element of this, and there's many more elements than that, is all about giving opportunities for women. And it started just as CSR to give back, and started in memory actually of Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto, who had been assassinated. And she had been a wonderful mentor and role model for me. And in fact, I had won the Benazir Bhutto International Fellowship my third year in law school. And she had mentored me through my thesis on the first woman bank. And this was very, very close to my heart, how incredible she was. Mm. And when she passed, this was done in memory, the awards were done in her memory, and to remind ourselves and each other that there was an endless number of extraordinary Pakistani women. And we must always look around and see that and remember that and celebrate that.
So when you give out these awards, how do you choose who the winner should be? Is there a committee? What do you look at? Because women come from so many different backgrounds. Now, a young woman, let's say, living in a village, would perhaps have different challenges as opposed to someone who lives in a city, who comes from a privileged background. So how does one choose who to give to?
So our awards are very special that way. We have been incredibly humbled and honored to give the relevant people of that year. So whether it's the APS school teachers or the polio victims or Mala Yousafzai or Shamina Bejnoy or whoever's relevant, like when Naseem Hamid was the fastest runner in South Asia, it's the relevant people of that time. We've given women from Kailash, we've given women from Makli, and what happens is there are 5 main awards, People's Choice Awards, and past winners shortlist a list of public nominations to come up with finalists. And then the People's Choice Awards, and we vote. We have a leading media channel house, that a newspaper, television, so forth, that does tickers and voting and all, and the people of Pakistan vote. And that winners are disclosed. And then for the non-5 People's Choice Awards, which include Posthumous and Courage Award and Angel Awards, those are our judges' selection with the foundation for the people of that year, who've done something incredible. Like usually the first trailblazer, we would give somebody who passed and was martyred, incredible things like that are always recognized. But it's a very competitive process. And why we have past winners as judges is because people were actually trying to bribe and give gifts and call and do anything to win awards or give money or sponsorship, but it doesn't work that way. It's the people of Pakistan who choose, and it's their choice.
And then you have another initiative called Educate a Girl. What is that about? Tell us more about that.
So that's about educating girls vocationally for the job market. And the idea is there's incredible government schools as well as TCF and Adeel and wonderful institutions that are doing baby education. But the biggest loss to the economy of Pakistan is girls not entering the workforce. So we are vocationally training young women, girls for jobs. We also have a Ladies Fund Distress Fund, which is for a young girl, 6, 7, 8, whose parent dies or is unable to pay tuition, loses their job, to keep them in school up to 3 months. And Educate a Girl Zakat, which is we simply pay the tuitions of young girls for their schooling, who simply cannot afford any tuition of that kind. But Educate a Girl itself is more for talented, incredible women to be vocationally trained for jobs.
And how many young girls have benefited so far from this program?
4,000.
So 12,000 women were trained and 4,000 girls educated. So a total of 16,000 lives have been impacted. Would that be a correct estimation, or is it more?
Well, I think that it's important to recognize that when you educate a girl, you're educating a family. When you're educating a girl, she not only becomes a woman who gives back to her children and the community and her larger family, but it's the whole community that's affected. and that means the whole nation is impacted. So each girl who is educated, gets a job, gets an opportunity, is someone who changes not only her life, but the life of those around her. And for the women who are trained in whether it's entrepreneurship or are the community of Ladies Fund and who's an iconic award winners. And they contribute very much back, like your Seema Aziz and Naseem Kasouri, and in Lahore, Soraya Anwar, and in Karachi, you've got your Amina Saids and Noorjahan Bilgramis, and so forth and so forth. There's many tiers of Ladies Fund, not only in sectors, not only in geographic regions, but also in tiers of economic impact and also cultural and impact in other ways of inspiration.
I'm going to slightly overstep here. I'm just wondering why only women? And when I say that, I feel secure because it's a Lums platform and I can say that here. And maybe the times have changed. When I say why only women, I don't mean why not boys or men, but also transgenders. Because lately there's been, they have been now slowly being accepted as a part of the society. A Huat Foundation, for instance, has a department where they only allow transgenders to work. And that's a great initiative. I hear there was some school or college that's only for transgenders. And one couldn't think about that 20 years ago, but now we are talking about that. We are becoming slightly more open towards them. So I'm just wondering if that's also on the cards in the near or the distant future?
It's already happened. So we this year for International Women's Day spotlighted the first transgender female lawyer and spotlighted and highlighted her. And we've also hosted a transgender iftar. And in our larger community and initiatives, it's very important to remember that those who are in need are often unseen. So we began during this pandemic food rations, and we fed already 5,500 families. And we have both a Sadqa fund and a Zakat fund. So those who are watching who may not be familiar, the Zakat fund is according to very strict Islamic principles and is a mandatory part of it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. The Sadqa fund can go to anyone. So for the Zakat fund, we've given fishery families, rape victims, Thar, Baluchistan, families in need. In the Sadqa fund, we've given Christian widows, Hindu families, eunuchs. And the Zakat fund has also fed a large number of transgender.
That's fantastic. Okay, I want to go through, just tear away the facade of a successful, strong business person who does philanthropy work. At the end of the day, we're also people. We're also just a human. And, at night, when you go to bed, wake up in the morning, we're also just people, a single person. So my question to you would be, what's your greatest fear? It looks like, running big companies, sitting on boards, making important decisions, helping people. That's all done. And it's a process. It'll continue. But then there has to be some fear which keeps you awake at night, or where, there's some little hammer saying, God forbid this should not happen. What is that thing?
So obviously the loss of a loved one.
And that's it? Or there are other fears as well?
I have a million fears in life, and every day there's a constant new fear and so forth. But you asked me what the big fear is, and that would be it.
Tell us a little bit about some of what you think have been or are your failures, where you think you tried something and you failed at it. Now that doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but then young people in particular, and also old people in this country, are petrified of failing at something. We are taught somehow that failing is a bad thing. And this is what we need to learn, that failing is a great thing because it is an example of attempting to do something. So share with us some failures or what you think would be your personal or professional failures.
So I pretty much probably have something every day I fail at. And I've been fortunate to have many things I've succeeded at. But obviously, as they say about Michael Jordan, you have to take so many missed shots you have to have for that one successful shot. So similarly, that defines life, and certainly my life. In answering your statement about failure, I don't think it's a good or bad thing. You have to fail forward. It's just a part of life. So one, you need to accept that you're a human, you're going to fail, whether you like it or you don't, whether you're happy or unhappy about it, it's going to happen plenty of times and more times than the success. So it's about the learnings and failing forward. The biggest recent failure we had, and it's not even a failure, but it was more of a learning, is that we've been nominating loans to the state through the state bank SME Women Scheme and the Prime Minister's Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme to women SMEs. And we've done both rural and women in urban centers. And we had representatives of different sectors, and we had them fill in the forms, go through the process, and we realized that this is not as easy as it looks. I thought with plenty of hand-holding, walking them through the process, knowing the women we're nominating, it would be very, very easy. But the reality is that the banks still decide who they give money to. And especially collateral free loans are much, much more harder. And so we've been now rethinking how to achieve this goal of more and more women having access to money, which is very much needed by women. And we talked to a few banks last week, and one bank was saying that they're getting over 1,000 applications a month for the Prime Minister's Youth Scheme and from women, and they're giving 1 or 2 max. And so it's way bigger than anything to do with our organization because we're not the decider. But we would have thought that solid women that we know would find it really, really easy. So now we're rethinking the scheme. We're working on a scheme specifically for home bakers as well as to solarize small businesses, and just designing a way to make it have a bit more of an asset, like solarizing a business, or for a home baker, maybe an oven. And we're just in that brainstorming because there's a solution for everything. And the idea is to work our way through it. But I was predicting that we'd have 100% of women get their loans just because we nominated them and we had done all our background and filled in all the had them fill in all the forms and cross-checked everything. But we didn't realize that there's 5 departments or more within each bank that has to find new things to approve and see, and there's a journey of learning. But at the moment, it felt disappointing the day it happened. And then now we've been working to try and get those women through the hand-holding needed. And so that's a prime example, with the purest and best of intentions.
And how do you, on a personal level, how do you deal with disappointment or setbacks? Do you get demoralized and then you wake up in a couple of days and say, all right, let's go back? Or does it excite you further? Does it inspire you? Does it motivate you? Or do you kind of lay low for a while and then, let the sadness pass over? How do you deal with setbacks and failures and disappointments?
As mentioned, I think I face them almost daily. So the idea is you need to have super thick skin. I'm definitely historically not been the person who hides in the corner, but the one that, heads on, faces it head on, and historically has been somebody who has tried to come up with a solution for plan. I normally have not just plan B, but plan B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and go through the alphabet. And so I'm not used to leaving as much allowance. If plan A fails, usually something that happens, right? But even then, not everything works out. And so there's an understanding of your humanity, acceptance that, you are going to fail. And also the feelings of sadness or disappointment cannot hold the same space as feelings of gratitude. Yes. So the minute something bad happens, I try and think first and foremost of something in that moment to be grateful for, and whatever it may be, whatever, it might be the tiniest thing. But once the energy is shifted to gratitude, I'm not physiologically able to hold that space for that sorrow, at least for that moment. Though obviously things do keep bothering everyone when they don't go your way.
But gratitude is a great word, and we should remember this word more often, no matter where we are. So that's a great word. Now, you are at a position where you're blessed, to borrow your word. You sit on several boards, so you can take decisions or influence decisions, perhaps. You've helped thousands of people, or women, or families. Um, what I'm saying is, so your vision is macro. You know, you're not only confined to your house. So when you look at Pakistan, what is it that pains you? What troubles you about Pakistan? What would you want to change? What would you want to kind of improve on? Of course, I'm sure there's a long list, but share with us your dream about Pakistan.
So I'm much more an accepting person than looking at change. So I love the nation and I love the people in it. So I I want us to celebrate ourselves more. And that's why we began with awards, because that was recognizing and celebrating women's achievement. And the idea is it's not a question of changing things, but I would love giving more and more opportunities to people. If there was one thing to change, if I had a magic wand, it would be that we would be of a mindset to build each other up rather than tear each other down. And Ladies Fund this year with the theme of building barracks is also, and we've just launched in Lahore and so forth, it's also a sisterhood at the core. And the idea is that women support other women. And of course, men are supporting women and we all support each other. But at core, it's a sisterhood. And in fact, was it 2 days ago, we held our first Barak shower. So instead of a baby shower, a bridal shower, we had a Barak shower because we have the Barak Center. And as you know, in the West, when a startup becomes $1 billion, it's called a unicorn. Mm-hmm. And in Pakistan, you have your national incubation centers and Dot Zero and Nest, amazing entities. We wanted to have one that had our culture and religion at the forefront. So we called it the Barak Center. The Barak being the closest thing, the Barak Mirage, the closest thing to a unicorn. It's actually a Pegasus, a winged horse, and a pink Barak is our logo. And so the motto is watch her fly, and it's an incubation center for women. So when you look at something like building barracks and having the Barak shower, the idea wasn't that someone has an opening of their salon or this was a jewelry exhibition and people come and they have freebies and goodie bags and the press come and it's wonderful how it is. But what we wanted is to have buyers come. So our members came and bought from the proprietor, a woman business, and gave business. So they're Bismillahing new businesses. This was a very beloved business that got business through this Barak shower. And the idea is that when you come, you're there to help each other, buy local, and build each other up.
That's fascinating. So there are young people watching, young entrepreneurs, graduates, young people who will be graduating soon. And they live in a world where they see overnight sensations, where they see young people making millions overnight, becoming YouTubers or TikTokers. And then they see perhaps people with legacy. Why should they not follow a YouTuber who became an overnight sensation, and why should they take the long route? Why would they do that? Tell them, why should they do that?
I think if they want to be a YouTube sensation, go for it. There's a lot of love and power in that as well. And that doesn't mean that can't stop them from building a legacy. It's all part of learning. And most of the YouTube sensations, many I should say, are very young. So they have the ability to go through that learning process. Building a legacy is not easy. Generations of legacy are not easy. I know that I study a lot succession planning as well as Japanese businesses. There's 2 Japanese businesses that are over 1,000 years old and how those same companies have reinvented themselves and so forth. So I find that interesting. And because it's very important to me and close to my heart giving back, I think that it's something that you have to build the foundations for, build strong foundations and then move forward. But who's to say that YouTube sensation may not end up becoming the next Muncha? You know, If someone at 16, 18 is already doing something like that and monetizing it successfully, then that entrepreneurship mindset is something I would celebrate and say, go girl, or whoever the YouTuber is.
Celebration, what a great word. We should celebrate things as opposed to try to change them. Change would come perhaps through celebration. So that's a great perspective. Okay, one last question, which is, if you were addressing a group of young people, young, vibrant people, who would be, the pillars of Pakistan tomorrow, what would you tell them? What would you tell a bunch of young, budding entrepreneurs, boys and girls, Lums graduates, other graduates? What would you tell them? What to expect in life? The world is changing. It's changed in the last year and a half. But there are some things that remain constant, values remain constant. What would Tara tell these bunch of young kids with energy and with passion? What would you tell them?
I would tell them to believe in their dream. I believe that God puts a dream in you for a reason. And if you ask everyone around you what they think, the dream's not in their heart. They haven't seen the vision that you've seen. They may love you more than you could imagine, but they don't know it's even possible because they haven't seen that vision. When it's put in your heart, your goals, your dreams, they're unique to you. And so honor them, fight for them, support them, go for it. And so whatever and whoever is watching, whatever age, doesn't even have to be young. They can be an octogenarian and, who has a dream that is unfulfilled. Go for it now. Why can't an octogenarian become a YouTube sensation? Whatever you want, whatever the dream is, believe in it because your dream is inside of you for a reason. It is a preview of life's forthcoming attractions, as is said beautifully by those much wiser than me.
And I think, the key word used is, fight for your dreams. They're not easy. They're not easy to fulfill. And that's fascinating. And one sad thing is the first thing that our many schools and educational institutions and parents do is kill the dream in their child. That's the first thing they do, knowingly or unknowingly. So that's a fantastic bit of advice. Thank you for that, Tara. If I could request Dr. Arshad, the Vice Chancellor, and if he can officially thank you for your time, for your insight. Dr. Arshad, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Adeel. And of course, it's a great privilege for us to spend some time with Tara Sahiba. Before this talk, we had a nice discussion, and then especially during the talk, we heard her views on a variety of topics that you, Adeel, kindly covered. So, of course, not only do I want to thank you, Tara, but I'm very grateful on behalf of many of us at Lums that you took the time to speak so openly with us. Frankly, I was thinking while I was listening to you that, in fact, you personify some of the most important values we at Lums believe in. And if I had to pick one, there are so many, but if I have to pick one, I would say the kind of deep understanding you have about what it means to serve, what it means to give back, what it means to make a difference. And in your case, the focus is on education and in particular women. We heard all of the examples that you walk the talk and you do by example. You instill confidence, and most of all, you believe in people. You believe in Pakistan. You believe in Pakistanis, and I think that is a great message. It's one of the things that we need more role models, and you're certainly one of them. And I certainly appreciate that you've been so open with us and talked about your own personal views and your own journey. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tara, thank you for your time. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a pleasure and an honor having you. And hopefully we'll have, you again, Dr. Arshad, if we could invite her again,
Well, this is a cue for me to, if this was happening live as it usually does, then I would present you a plaque. I'm in Montreal, Canada right now, so I can't actually show you that plaque or give it to you, but it's just an excuse to have you back. And inshallah, we will do this together in person with another audience, and look forward to many more conversations with you. So thank you again.
I'm deeply honored and humbled by this invitation, and thank you both for your time, and everyone else.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching. Please stay safe. God bless you. Tara, thank you. Dr. Arshad, thank you. God bless all of us. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Adeel. Thank you, everyone from Advancement. Khuda Hafiz.
Hafiz.